Over to you, Liam.
Well, I spent the morning at Canary Wharf in London's Docklands, Patrick, very much a kind of, shrine to British capitalism. It was obviously developed in the 90s and the 2000s. And back in the 90s, there was something called the prawn cocktail offensive. That's when the former Labour leader, the late John Smith, the late Mo Mowlam, they went round the City of London, they went to businesses across the UK to say, after years out of power, Labour is now the party of business, we're not going to crash the economy, you can trust us with the public finances. That prawn cocktail offensive worked. It was named after a rather naff prawn cocktail starter that was popular back in the 70s and 80s. You've probably never had one.
I'm partial to a prawn cocktail, actually.
Are they coming back?
Trifle died out in the 70s. But anyway, carry on.
Christmas log.
Yeah. Anyway.
But the thing about the prawn cocktail offence is the Tories made fun of it then and they made fun of it now. It worked. It laid the basis for Brown, Blair, New Labour, and of course, New Labour ended up winning lots of time in office. And there's a new prawn cocktail offensive, and it started big time publicly in Canary Wharf today. Keir Starmer gave a speech, Rachel Reeves gave a speech, and this is what the Shadow Chancellor had to say.
Britain can achieve so much in innovation, in trade and in growth. We have the ability, but we need government and business working together to make the most of that great potential, to spread opportunity far and wide right across the country, and to allow everyone with the talent, the effort and the ideas to see their vision through to reality.
Yes, now, Liam, you actually got up close and personal, didn't you, Rachel Reeves?
I interviewed Rachel Reeves afterwards. We'll be showing that later on GBNews. A lot of viewers and listeners may not be aware of who Rachel Reeves is, but they're going to be hearing and seeing a lot more of her over the next couple of years as the general election approaches. She's a former Bank of England economist. She's MP up in Leeds. She's seen by a lot of the business community as a safe pair of hands, somebody who's quite sensible. She's very much from the sort of right of the Labour Party. She talked a lot in her speech and with me about fiscal prudence, looking after the public finances. But she also talked a lot about how the Tories had made a mess of the economy. What we're seeing now, Patrick, we're seeing the Labour Party starting to discipline itself. They've thrown out a lot of the sort of Corbynistas. When you and I were at Labour Party conference, you'll have noticed it was a lot more kind of business-like than it's
quite quiet, but in a good way.
Sort of disciplined. The party can now sniff power, and that's why it is making this approach to business. And I must say there were some pretty high rollers at this business conference. There was the boss of HSBC UK, the boss of Aviva UK. These are major financial services companies, both of whom spoke from the platform. HSBC was sponsoring the speech. There'll be a lot of cynicism. Labour, they can't make the sums add up. They always end up spending too much of other people's money. That's what a lot of Conservatives will say. But I've also had a lot of WhatsApp messages since I was at this conference this morning from Tory cabinet ministers saying, what did you think?
Really?
What was it like? Should we be worried?
Oh, really? Yeah. That's interesting. You actually, just very quickly, Liam, you actually quite like Rachel Reeves. Just that's my take on it. The numerous times we've spoken about it, you seem to talk to her, talk about it.
It's not my job to like or dislike politicians. It's my job to report what they say and then give a professional, hopefully informed opinion. And I've heard a lot of Tories talk her down and say, she hasn't got the charisma to be a top-flight politician and so on. But I think after the sort of ups and downs we've had over recent years in the public finances and so on, a sort of lack of charisma may not be a bad thing in a potential potential Chancellor of the Exchequer. And I've always found her, I'm not here to big her up in any way. I'm here to report as an economist. I've always found her to be certainly well briefed and at one with the numbers and trying to get her head round issues more than, say, other frontline politicians on the front bench of all the main parties. So I think she is somebody who is, it's absolutely clear when Keir Starmer spoke, if Keir Starmer gets in government, he will be her Chancellor. He mentioned her many times in his speech. They seem to be working as one. I don't detect any particular rivalry between their camps. This is Labour's double act. They're trying to present themselves as grown up. The economy is safe with us, they say, and that's why after this business conference, even though there weren't many specific policies, they're very regimented and disciplined. I do think quite a lot of Tories are noticing maybe we should be worried.
Yeah, there's something to worry about. Liam, thank you very much.